In this video, we're going to talk about how do you come up with a down payment. So if you don't have the money in your bank account, the 20% or however much you need in your bank account, what options do we have to find that money? A lot of what we're seeing now, people are pulling into their 401ks, or people are getting money from parents or relatives or whoever to help them to buy a home. So what Nick's going to do, he's going to walk us kind of through those processes, how that works, how the bank sees money coming from mom and dad, or how the bank sees you taking money out of your 401k. So Nick, I'll give it to you.
Sure.
What do we need to know about this kind of stuff?
Yeah, so this kind of boils down to the main three things the bank will get for qualification is credit score, debts, and then income. So the bank's always looking out for things that could be new debts. So part of the loan process will look at bank statements, and if there's a large deposit, we need to figure out, well, where did that come from? And the theory is the bank's always going to be cautious about, is that possibly a loan that we now need to add into your debt percentage that could possibly disqualify you for a home? So a lot of buyers look at down payment. Maybe we should restart this.
So how do you? So let's go back a second. So when you're pulling my bank statement,
Yep.
How far back are you going? How far back are you
It
pulling
does depend
bank
on the
statements?
program. 2 months is sort of the max.
So if I'm going to get money from mom and dad, and I know mom and dad are giving me money, if I get it into my bank account 3 or 4 months before I actually go out and start the process, that money's already there. It looks like my money. You don't know where it came from. There's not going to be any red flags coming up because I've got now $20,000 in my bank account. It just You don't go back far enough to ask where all the money came from, right?
Yeah, there's always caveats and exceptions.
Sure, but generically
average
speaking,
2 months.
All right. So
2 months
now,
out,
now you pull, or I don't even have it in my bank account yet.
Right.
Right. So I know mom and dad are going to give it to me.
Yep.
What do I have to? What if? And I'm going to tell you that, or I'm going to tell my realtor that. My realtor's going to tell my lender that. What do you need from me so that you know it's not a loan and it doesn't count against my debt to income? And it is, and maybe it's not a gift, but you need to know that it's a gift, right? You need to know that I'm not paying this money back. It's money that's mine.
Right.
That looks like it's in my bank account.
Right. A gift basically has to come from a relative. Certain programs, there's other ways to document it, but generally it has to be a blood-related relative. FHA has very specific requirements on who the gift can come from. But again, it's all going back to the large deposit. So there is a standard gift letter that would be written and signed by the donor to state there's no repayment required. I'm transferring the money for the purchase of this house, and they're basically free to use it as they need. There's a couple different ways to document it, but effectively we need to see the transfer of the money in some form or another to the title company, to the buyers themselves, and along with the gift letter. And that's enough to say, hey, and also we would look at the check and say, okay, does the parent's name match the parents, and does it match the gift letter? And that's enough to say, okay, we don't have to count this as a debt, and that will document that large deposit.
So at the end of the day, you have documentation that says who it's coming from, what it's for, and that it's not a loan that doesn't have to be paid back.
Right.
Cool. All right, I want to take money out of my 401k.
Sure.
How do I get money out of my 401k?
Yeah, similar process. As far as the documentation process, we need to show where it started, how it got to your account. But the 401k is definitely specific. You'd have to check with your employer. Every employer has different rules on when you can take money out of your 401k. Generally speaking, most allow up to $50,000 or half of whatever's in your 401k to be taken out as a home purchase. Again, you'd have to check with your HR.
Is it penalized? So if I take money out of my 401k, typically I've got massive fees I've got to pay.
No, well, right. If you did it outside of the rules within your plan documents, you could have tax penalties and implications just by withdrawing it.
Right.
But if you do it through your plans, usually they have a home buying
so most
clause.
401ks, and I don't necessarily know this, but most 401ks say if you're taking this money out to buy a home, we're not penalizing it, and it doesn't look like income?
Right. Nope. It'll come out as a loan, and they set repayment terms, and you'll repay it back every month, typically directly from your paycheck, and you can use that money as down payment, and you can pay it back sooner if you want, and it's money that the bank doesn't. Unlike a real loan, it's money that the bank for qualification doesn't count against your debt to income because it's an asset-based loan.
Because it's your money.
It's your money.
Got it.
So it's a good tool to, to get from 3% to 5%, or if you're close on closing costs, sometimes it's a good strategy. Again, you'd have to talk to your financial advisor, and your lender as well can run couple different scenarios for you. But it is a tool that I think not many people know, that there's not really costs associated with it. Typically, you're paying yourself back with interest. The main downside would be, over time, let's say you had the money out of the market for 2 years, instead of being invested in whatever stock or mutual funds that you have it invested in, you miss out on those earnings during that time.
But hopefully your home is appreciating.
You're
at the
buying
same
a
rate.
house and maybe not paying rent. So
Right.
It's a tool that is probably not totally well known, but
Yeah. I'm starting to see it more and more. It's becoming more and more popular now. No. All right, guys. 401ks, gifts. That's how it works. I'm assuming 401k HR can help you with that.
Yeah, I would just say reach out to your HR and
Okay.
ask.
Cool. Very good. That's how you get a down payment if you don't have any money.